It says here, Mark. Oh, right. Ladies and gentlemen, before your very ears, we present another high-fibre, low-sugar, carbon-free, tree-hugging, vegan, lip-smacking, dolphin-friendly show, sort of, which we call the Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col. At least, it was the last time I looked. Is it you?
Thanks, Mark.
Ah.
Hello there, Beatley people. Nice of you to drop in, and I've hoovered especially and got the good biscuits out for everyone, mostly me. We've washed and brushed up for yet another exciting, nay, enthralling episode of Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col. You got to run at that one. Episode 8 in a series of 3089, and if anyone's counting, and it's even less with good behaviour. So after a major revamp, a wash and a brush up and the purchase of a brand new biro, we are now 10% funnier, 16.6 more Beatley, and essentially 8 1/3 less sarcastic. Don't you agree, Mark?
No, I certainly don't. I'm sure there's an app you can get, you can check that anyway.
I'll look it up later.
Yeah, you probably have to pay for it. Yes, Mark and Col are back with a further additional episode of the Beatleplaces Podcast for your enjoyment and approval, we hope. And your delectation as well.
We more than
Another
hope.
chance to extol the greatness of John, Paul, George and Ringo, and more commonly known as Freddie and the Dreamers. No, they're not. The Beatles.
I'm sorry about that. I wasn't in my best typing frame of mind.
I like Freddie and the Dreamers anyway.
Well...
Right, the Beatles, yeah, can you type slower next time?
I will.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I will.
And as with every other Beatles podcast, we look at the formative years of the band here in Liverpool and provide you surprises galore into the bargain at no extra cost. Gratis, for free too, and some green stamps.
As much as that?
Aye, S&H stamps.
Now, the only downside to this show is all that wonderful stuff is you have to hear us do it. And we do all the talking as well. So however, and as ever, the show's crammed with all the usual great Beatle features and items that to keep you amused and entertained while you're doing your knitting, or hopefully you don't drop a stitch in the process. Or maybe you're just practicing making those chair legs in your lathe in the back kitchen. So hello everyone and welcome everyone. So that's that. So what's in this episode, I hear you say?
Do you?
What's in this episode? That's me saying.
Very good, very good. You should be on a stage.
I think so, yeah. The landing stage.
Yep.
Oh, oh yes. Well, my fellow cohort, mate and part-time brick hypnotist, the great Marco, drum roll, will tell all.
Yeah, let's get on with it. Yes. Anyway, right. Yes, and I can know, well, the good news is I appear in the show several times for a nominal fee. As for everything else, get well soon. Well, only pulling the proverbial. In fact, in matter of fact, we have a host of Beatles stuff today. The terrifically good Beatles Trivia Quiz.
Oh, you only say that because you do it.
Well, I'll dig through and see what I can find. Ooh. So, pens poised for that. More fiendish questions to befuddle and betwixt you.
Blimey.
Is that the right word?
They're all B's, I know that.
Aye. We have this month in Beatle history, which this month in Beatles history, and not this moth in Beagle's history, as Col typed it.
I'm sorry. It's stuck. The keyboard's stuck.
Well, it looks like you got the keys, back to front of the typewriter or something like that. There's no particular order, the Beatles book review and Col's Beatleplaces album review. So it all adds up to another winner, I think.
Oh, yes.
I can hear the podcast awards being awarded, being shipped to Col's front parlour as we speak. Yeah, it'll be, I don't know, washer or something like that.
Yeah, tap washers.
Right, let's get on with it.
Right, well, what marvellous Mark, thank you very much, forgot to mention, and only because I haven't typed it till now, is that we'll also include some special features. We always do this. A chance to surprise you with something or some things you perhaps never knew about Liverpool or the Fab Foursome. So we haven't failed you today, by the way, either. So this time, and especially for you lot, because you've been good, we have the story of the black music pioneers of Liverpool, the people who influenced the Beatles themselves in Liverpool during their fledgling years. And in addition, we're going to chat about the fairly strange story of the Hamburg Star Club Tapes Treasure Trove. That sounds like a episode of Murder, She Wrote, doesn't it? So now you know as much as we do. Let's commence. So faces on stun.
Right.
Tartan slippers on.
Oh, aye.
Let's roll.
Okay. Ooh, super. Yes, indeed. So it's mirror signal manoeuvre, left leg out, and don't forget, a splendid time is guaranteed for all.
Woohoo! And you're back in the room.
Oh, thanks.
Well, let's firstly energise that grey matter of yours with the terribly tricky Beatles Trivia Quiz. An old chestnut of a favourite, and thankfully Mark's here to present it. So I'll pass you over to the Master of Ceremonies himself. Mark, replete in his mortarboard and gown, twiddling a glued-on handlebar moustache. Here he comes now.
Right. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick some lyrics at this time.
Okay.
And see if you can guess which song they are from.
Am I allowed to look?
Certainly not.
Oh,
What do you think this is?
I thought it was my O-level geography all over again.
Right. What should I pick? This
That
this
one.
this is exciting.
Yeah,
isn't
this is when it gets exciting, and that's when it stops being exciting.
it? The first one
Yeah.
I am going to pick is a couple of lines from a song, and I want to know which song this one
Okay.
is. Okay, here we go. Don't want to cry when there's people there. I get shy when they start to stare. Which song is that from? I'll have to remember this for after because I'm going to do it again and I won't find the page number.
You know what? I nearly answered it because I'm thinking that now. I know
yes,
I've not.
No.
I shouldn't. Yeah.
Stop it.
It's not for me to get in the
Naughty
way.
boy. And the second song I want to know where these lyrics come from. The lyrics are you ready? You and me, Sunday driving, not arriving on our way back home. Which song is that from?
That sounds like my sat nav.
Really?
Yeah, the one I threw in the bin anyway.
And here's a dead easy one for question number 3. He bag production. He got Walrus gumboot. Which song is that from?
Yeah, it sounds like
All
you're
right.
flicking through a dictionary when you say that, but I know it's a song.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to know. Those 3 lyrics. I'll give them to you a bit later on once I write them down and make a mention of what I'm going to do with it all. Okay. Thank you, Cole. Yep, all sorted. Okay.
Yeah, it's half of that.
Didn't hurt, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
We're cooking on electricity now. It says gas here, but I'm just doing that to fool you. So just to keep you going, let's join Col on the other side of this decorating table. I'm not sure what you're doing with that paste. Now his voice is broke to hear him. They've kicked him out of the Vienna Boys Choir. Presenting our other regular feature, the Beatleplaces Album Guide to the
right.
Fab Four.
Yeah.
This time it's the 1967 Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I haven't heard of that one before.
Oh well, let me
Fill me in.
Let me in. I will later on in the alley outside.
Right.
Yeah, and thanks, Mark, for that sort of introduction.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we are talking about the Beatles album, Beatleplaces. I'm getting it wrong now. The Beatleplaces Album Guide to the Fab Four. So our tongues aren't tied. We're just a little bit excited because we've got a show to do. So many thanks to our Mark for the Beatles Trivia Quiz. That'll keep you busy for a bit because lyrics are inevitably tricky ones to get right. So let's hope you get the answers anon. Including Mark, he doesn't know what the answers are yet.
I haven't a clue.
So that must mean it's my turn to give you something in the show, and it's this. It's the Beatleplaces Album Guide to the Fab Four. This time it's the album, the well-known album, I hasten to add, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. You might have heard of it. One of their lesser-known works, admittedly.
Oh.
So Sgt. Pepper, the album, was recorded between December 6, 1966 and April 1967, and it was released in June of that year. It's always been a year since Rubber Soul was released, and the band had been churning out 2 albums a year up until then, and then anything post Candlestick Park, they just retreated to the studio, didn't do any more tours, and they concentrated on making a new album. But the fans wanted something for the band around Christmas 1966, as they'd gotten used to them being around at that time of the year. So as a kind of a concession, Brian Epstein coaxed the band into releasing a single, probably their most wonderful single, really. There was a double A. It was Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane, the best double side single ever by anyone, always. And still they stayed in the studio. So when the album itself saw the light of day in June 1967, they kind of surprised everybody by how good it was. The album was innovative, it was surprising, basically it was brilliant on every level. So the album cover even broke so many rules of album making, and we've got the Beatles to thank for doing it so long ago. The tracks, as you may need reminding, and maybe not. Side 1, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, intro. With a little help from my friends, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Getting Better, Fixing a Hole, She's Leaving Home, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. That was on side 1. That was just on side 1. Side 2 was made up of Within You, Without You, When I'm 64, Good Morning, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise, which is good, and A Day in the Life. It all added up to 39 minutes and 43 seconds of something quite sublime. So there's a great BBC documentary from a musician, a guy called Howard Goodall, on the making of the album, which I recommend you go and see somewhere, which in terms of musicality explains it far better than I can, far more eloquently anyway, and even better than I ever could do, even sat here in my bath. So he mentions in the show that they even used 9 pianos for the final E major chord on the last part of A Day in the Life. So that's 9 pianos. The skill and the sound engineering genius of George Martin can't be ignored, because on tracks like Mr. Kite and Lucy in the Sky, he used vari speed on the vocals and loads of little tricks like that. And don't even forget that road assistant Mal Evans chipped in once or twice. He even played the piano. The album cover itself was quite unique, possibly the first to print the lyrics of the songs on the sleeve. I might be corrected on that, but to me it felt like the first one. And the big gatefold inside and the Peter Blake photograph of the band in an imaginary brass band ensemble picture was something quite unique. And the whole thing cost about £2,800 to construct. But who wouldn't want that now? And how much would it fetch on eBay today? So copied to death ever since. The 57 people in the background who were staged behind the Beatles as cutouts included people like Mae West, who was a Hollywood starlet of her time, W.C. Fields, the absolutely wonderful Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. Stu Sutcliffe was in there. Lenny Bruce, the comedian, was in there. Even the philosopher Carl Jung. And themselves all, and don't forget, the Beatles themselves get 2 goes at the picture, because they're in the background in their old mop-top style as dummies. And there's
waxworks, weren't they?
2-sword waxworks.
2-sword waxworks.
Yeah. And there's loads of others. So my favourite in the background is Stan and Ollie. And there's also a local Liverpool footballer called Albert Stubbins. He was a famous Liverpool Football Club player, but actually the man wasn't local. He was a Geordie. He came from Newcastle, man. A place called Wallsend. So for Mark's sake, I want Mark to answer me a question now, because I'm going to give him a little pop quiz.
Oh, this is exciting.
Who wore what on the sleeve?
Right. I won't look.
Who wore what coloured coat on the sleeve? So who wore the blue coat?
I'm not looking. I haven't looked on purpose. Was that Ringo?
Oh, close. It was. You got 3 other guesses.
Well, I'm bound to get it eventually, aren't I? Give us a chance now.
Paul.
There's Paul then. All right.
Who wore a yellow one? I didn't think it suited him, but who wore a yellow one?
All right, that was Ringo then.
Oh, do you know what? 2 in a row. He's got 2 wrong so far.
Right.
That was John.
Ah.
Yeah. Who wore a pink one?
I'll give you a clue. Then.
It was the last 2 guys you mentioned.
Yeah.
Ringo,
yeah.
And
I knew I was right.
The last one, apparently in orange. I don't even recognise it as orange. George. So here's another question for you. Who played what? They were holding instruments when they had the pictures took.
Right.
So who held a flute?
A flute. I don't know.
Well, there's a big flute. It was George.
A trombone.
Who held a trumpet?
A trumpet. That would be Paul.
Well, you'd think so, because you know a little bit of back history about Paul playing a trumpet. No, Ringo.
Oh, all right.
Who held onto a French horn? That's a bit more memorable.
No, I would say John.
Yeah, it was John. And that left Paul with probably the instrument you can't even remember.
The spoons.
Yeah, and it wasn't the spoons.
No.
And that xylophone never did get a look in, did it? So he had a cor anglais.
Did
Cor
he?
anglais. Was that woodwind?
Yes, I think it's a very old English.
Cor anglais. I just thought it was. It's French for something. Could be cul-de-sac. So the song, and in conclusion, the song lyric of Sgt. Pepper starts with "It was only 20 years ago today." But for the last 55 years, the truth is that Sgt. Pepper's been the most highly rated, influential album by anyone ever, with room to spare. So you beat that, Hermits.
Right.
And there you go. That's the Beatleplaces album guide. This time around, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Well done.
Well, hello everyone. This is Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark Col. And funnily enough, I don't know why I did
I'll get
that.
the bucket out.
I'll start again. It's the Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col. And funnily enough, it's time for this month in Beatle history. What do you know? So luckily Mark is here and he's back in black and fully refurbished and refreshed from plucking his eyebrows to
Don't
present
tell everybody.
Well, sorry, you me,
Oh,
the
you keep
beautician.
doing
mate.
this, don't you? It's,
Well-
and embarrassing me in front of everybody.
Tell that to beautician.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's all yours, kiddo.
Right. Well, I'm just picking a month, any month. This month it's May.
Potluck.
1964.
Oh, right.
When everybody seemed to go on holiday. John and Cynthia, George and Patty flew to Honolulu on holiday, but they were chased by the press all over the place, and they left Honolulu and went to Papiti in Tahiti. And a reporter asked John, "Why are you leaving Hawaii so soon?" And John snapped back at him. George was asked, "How long would you stay in Tahiti?" To which he replied, "An hour." So they chased all over the place. Paul and Jane, Ringo and Maureen took a holiday in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. They travelled under aliases. Paul was Mr. Manning, Jane was Miss Ashcroft, Ringo was Mr. Stone, and Maureen Miss Cockcroft. They left for Luton Airport and flew to Paris. Left from Luton Airport, flew to Paris, and then they flew to Lisbon, where they spent a night in the Ritz Hotel.
Wow.
Very nice, right for some, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
And also on that day, May the 2nd, an exhibition of Stuart Sutcliffe's paintings opened at the Walker Art Gallery in Liverpool. So that's what happened on May the 2nd, 1964.
Wow, a bit of recognition, but a little late.
So they chased all over the place.
Well,
on a
could
little holiday.
yeah, but it doesn't feel as though they had a bit of privacy, really. That's really what they craved, isn't it?
Stuart Cliff he's had an exhibition since then, hasn't he? I'm sure.
Yeah,
at the Walker.
in Liverpool itself, they put his stuff on once or twice. I'm underestimating that, probably 4 or 5 times. But since his stuff became known, I would easily say he's been featured in Liverpool. He certainly does the tour around the world in terms of what his pictures are. You notice them in Japan, you notice them in America a lot. And they'll come back to Liverpool at some point and we'll go and see it, won't we?
Aye, yeah. So that was May 64. Just whizzing forward a year to May 65. And they started, they were filming Help then on Salisbury Plain. They spent the night in the Antrobus Arms on Salisbury Plain, filming at Twickenham, backwards and forwards, filming a new Bond Street, Ringo filming at Twickenham.
Oh, yeah.
They're all over the place, and they recorded 2 rock and roll numbers as well, Dizzy Miss Lizzy and Bad Boy. It was aimed at the American market.
Good songs too. Good
didn't
rockers.
do that well in this country, but
I think they got featured on the Rarities album.
Aye.
Yeah, if I remember right, because they never did appear on proper albums.
No, not my favourite ones, but there you go.
Well, you gotta like what they do.
Aye. So that's what we did.
Oh, in this month or those months in Beatle history.
May 64 and 65.
God bless them.
Super. You want the best. You expect the best. You deserve the best. So while you're waiting, here's the Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col.
Well, Mark's a marvel, isn't he? And he's so good to his family too, because he stays away a lot. Anyway, more of this month in Beatle history next time
Picking
round.
on me this week.
This is Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col, and you're welcome to it. It's house trained, and the hits just keep a-coming, because now it's time to do the Beatles book review, when we waste our money on telling you what not to waste your money on book-wise. So this time, it's me flying solo, I think, Mark, if you don't mind.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No issues at all, but one of our favourite authors is going to get a mention today. Little Tommy produced. One of my favourite Beatle authors, the best author there is on the Beatles, Mark Lewison. And I'm going to feature this book about him. It's called The Beatles London. And it kind of inspired me and Mark to go and see what we knew of the Beatles in Liverpool, and started off a whole thing when we just went around to see every Beatles location there possibly ever was, and maybe more. We didn't invent any, we just went to the ones we figured out. But Mark Lewison had a go at this in London, and God bless him, he's done a fantastic job of it. What he's done, for instance, is he has found Beatle pictures of note that you know of them well, and he's gone back to where those places were, and he will tell you where exactly the Beatles stood in those pictures. This could be cityscapes, this could be countries, country lanes, this could be outside film sets. And the thing about it is he goes through all the various districts of London, of which there are lots. There are places like Chelsea and Kensington, Belgravia, Maida Vale. These are little divisions of London that I don't really know too well. But Mark Lewison's found them, and any weird and wonderful old Beatle pictures, he's gone back, photographed the place as it is today, given you a location of where to find her on a map, and you take it from there. Of course, he's going to give you a little potted history. It includes St John's Wood, and St John's Wood is where Abbey Road is, and Abbey Road gets a big mention because we talk about the photography of Abbey Road. Goes into quite a lot of detail. He goes through all of the famous 6 photographs that happened on Abbey Road that particular day when they were photographed crossing for the album cover. And let's say, for instance, picture 1 that was took of them crossing the zebra crossing. John was leading Ringo, Paul and George walking from left to right. A white Mercedes is pulling out of the EMI Studios entrance on picture 1. Picture 3, from left to right, Paul is taking off his sandals and remains off from this point. So in other words, what I didn't know was picture 1, Paul had his shoes on at that particular time.
Who knew? He was alive then, huh?
He was up to that point, then the bus hit him.
Yeah.
So... But it's a lovely book in terms of old pictures, later pictures. Mark Lewison's such a detail fanatic. He has got old adverts for the hotels he stayed at, menus of things they went to. He just went to town on this particular thing about the Beatles in London town. It's a lovely book because I never knew lots of places like where they had sneaky little drinks after they'd done some recording. The detail is wonderful. You never know, unless you go to London, how much there was in the Beatles' life in London, because they spent the latter part of their 6, 7, 8 years in London and not so much in Liverpool anymore. So while me and Mark have covered the Beatle places in Merseyside to the nth degree, and there's thousands of them, there's thousands of London locations that you should go and visit. Now, that particular book is by Mark Lewison, and Mark always picks me up on this, so it's produced by Portico.
They're the publishers,
They're the publishers.
And how much did you spend on it?
Oh, buttons.
Where did you get it from? Did you buy it in a bookshop,
I
or
think
you
I
found it second
I
hand?
found it second hand online, and it's a little wee book.
It is. It's about 7 inches,
it's a tiny
like a
wee
single size.
It's about the size of a 7-inch single. Yeah,
It is.
Quite chunky.
Aye.
Full of pictures, full of details. Love it to bits. My kind of book, and it made me think, I'll do one about Liverpool in that case, and we did. It's great. Beatles London, Mark Lewison and friends. And it's been commented by the Beatles publicist Derek Taylor, who said, far and away the most interesting Beatles book ever assembled. You can't beat that.
Excellent.
So there's it. That's it. No more. The Beatles book review is done, dusted.
Well, excellent.
Thank you.
Hi and hello, it's the Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col, and not a bad case of deja vu, as you may have first have thought. Okie doke, Beatles peoples, thanks for listening. Hope you're enjoying this stuff, what we are doing.
Yes, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
It's feature time again with the former Miss New Brighton.
Hello.
Miss Concrete Coal Bunker, 1968. That's Colin there.
or formerly known as Noreen Smith.
Very nice. He still wears a sash as well, folks. Interesting one this time. It's about the black music pioneers of Liverpool. Isn't it, Col?
Oh, yes.
Earth calling, Col. Yeah, come in, please. Hello.
Sorry.
Are you there?
Deeply involved in
Have I got to pay you again?
No. Is there a meter at the back of my head?
There's something there.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, folks.
Get on with it.
Thanks, Mark. Lovely intro. Yeah, we're featuring our feature time again, because it's time for a feature. It's the black music pioneers of Liverpool. We have lots and lots of them to speak of. And, you've got so much to be appreciative of what the Beatles did. And I previously mentioned the importance of the many local black musicians who greatly influenced the up-and-coming Merseybeat musicians, and none more so than John and Paul and George, because they were always hanging around the various pubs where these people played. And Liverpool has always been a kind of a melting pot of people in the 50s and the 60s, maybe even a bit earlier than that. And that included musical styles and tastes as well. So Liverpool in the 1950s and 1960s had always had long-established areas such as Liverpool 8, where the Nigerians and the Somalians, the Chinese and the Caribbeans all lived together. And they set up their many cultural centres, including little social clubs, little community centres. And inevitably, their music sort of trickled out and was played and enjoyed elsewhere. So as early as 1952, there were places like the Palm Cove Club, which is in a place called Smithdown Road, quite near Penny Lane, where they used to play reggae and jive music for dancing. And, of course, in due course, American black music influenced them again, and doo-wop music turned up on the scene. And it wasn't too long before local groups played that sort of music, local groups. And some of them were singers who didn't master their instruments, they mastered harmony and singing like that. And some were very talented, and some actually did play rock and roll really well because they were great musicians, as it turns out. And when they played in the local venues up in that district of Liverpool, like, word got around about how exciting their music was. And soon there was no stopping the local people. It didn't matter what race they were, they went to go and see them. And regular places like the White House pub, which was in Duke Street, or the Masonic pub, which was in Berry Street, quite close to Chinatown. That was great for visiting folk who came in fresh from being at the Cavern or the Iron Door themselves, and these places were open even later than them. So this included the John and Paul and George, who wanted to see these bands playing because they could learn a lot from them, and they certainly did. The only thing they didn't do was join in. Amongst these pioneer musicians were people like Walter Wally Corliss, who was a local guy anyway. He was just a great guitarist who dedicated playing the guitar for hours and hours and perfected all the tunes he heard. And he was one of the first people in Liverpool to have a Fender Stratocaster, which seriously impressed a lot of musicians or up-and-coming skiffle players like John and people like that who wanted to be guitarists. And he formed a band called the In Crowd, INN, In Crowd. And 4 nights a week he used to play at the White House pub. So obviously, you could go up and see him a couple of nights a week and enjoy that. But other people around on the scene of black music was Vinnie Toe. He was a very early influence on John, and especially with Chuck Berry licks and rhythm guitar playing. So Vinnie himself often visited the Cavern and joined up with John, lunchtime gigs and stuff like that, often giving them guitar hints and tips. Mentioning other people, there was a fella called George O.D. Taylor, who was living up in Mossley Hill, not far from Penny Lane again. Odie was a very popular performer around the Liverpool 8 scene. He was a jazz guitarist, but he still had the sort of talent to play all kinds of styles that were coming out: Motown, early doo-wop, and early rock and roll. And he certainly drew the crowds to places like the White House Pub, the Pink Parrot Club, and the Palm Cove, amongst others. So his friend and fellow musician, a fellow called Raymond Dean, he remembers when John and Paul and George came up to see them play. And there was George gawping at him playing his guitar licks at one of the later Beatle gigs. So they all became friends, and they have mentioned them in interviews of how influential they were at the time, but their admiration was more obvious in the things that they took away than just copying them. So that was impressive enough. So who else got mentioned? A fella called Raymond Sugar Dean. Again, a local lad. He enjoyed singing harmony. He was taught by his mother, and he formed an a cappella group called the Earholes. He regularly rehearsed in local areas like Huskerson Street, not far from where all the students lived who went to the art college. And he met up with a mate of his called Joe Ankra, who sang in a band called The Shades, later known as The Chants. And I've mentioned The Chants on a previous podcast. So you'll realise that people like that often did make a big influence. They always drew capacity crowds wherever they played in Liverpool and Birkenhead, and especially in the heart of the black community, where their attendance was always a mixture of 50% black and 50% white. So it just shows how influential and exciting the black music was. There's several other black musicians who deservedly need a mention, but regrettably there's just not much in the way of details about them. But as you already know in your Beatles story history, they were certainly around, especially playing steel pan music in the Jacaranda. People like Zanks Logie deserve a mention. Randolph Logie was his real name. Fitzroy James, who came from Trinidad, and he played at the Jacaranda on a steel pan drum. A fellow called Fitzroy James, Jerry Gobbin, and together they were steel panists, which meant they just sort of hit steel pan drums and made music that way. And they were the first band to up sticks and leave Liverpool and go and play in Hamburg. So they are very influential indeed. So what I like best of all is somebody I've never really found out about. Was one of the band in that band who went from Liverpool to Hamburg from the Jacaranda was a fellow called Everett Estridge. And he went with a mate of his called Clive Seeley. And they were known as Bones and Slim, but I don't know which is which. That's the only thing I'm annoyed at. I never found that bit out. So a small and yet important appreciation of the black music pioneers in Liverpool in their time, and how much of an influence they were on everybody, not just John, Paul and George.
If you love the Beatles as much as we do, then that's twice as much as we half expected. Is that right? It's the Beatleplaces Podcast with Mark and Col.
And thanks very much, everybody. Okay, it's about that time when we refresh our memories with the questions that Mark gave us in the Beatles Trivia Quiz. If you're ready and your pens are poised, here we go.
Right, I asked you, I gave you lyrics from 3 songs, and I want to know which songs they were from.
Ooh.
So I gave you, I Get Shy When I Start to Stir. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
I get shy when I start to stir. That was it, right? Yeah, I don't want to cry when there's people there. I get shy when I start to stir.
Ah, yeah.
So what song is that from?
Okay.
Any idea? Have a think. The next one was 2 of us sending postcards. Which song was that from? And finally, He Bag Production.
Yeah, the weirdest one of all. Always very cryptic, Lennon, wasn't he?
Which song was that from? Okay, there you go.
Very okay. Thanks,
Aye.
Mark.
Right.
Beatles Trivia Quiz answers coming up in a feature or two. Time now for a little wee feature, a bit of an odd one. You might enjoy it. Who knows? The Hamburg's Tapes Treasure Trove. It's all to do with a place in Liverpool called 20 Hackins Hay, which is not far from the cavern, as everything seems to be is. And here's a story about it. Sometime over December 1962, the Beatle performances in Hamburg were recorded by a stage manager called Adrian Barber, who's just a local musician who went over to Hamburg like the Beatles, and he was basically hired to be a stage manager. And on one of the many nights that the Beatles played at the Star Club there, he switched on a very simple Grundig tape reel recorder and a single microphone, and Adrian Barber gave his tape recordings that he made that night of their show onto another Liverpool musician who was coming back home. He was also performing in Hamburg at the time, a fella called King Size Taylor. And King Size Taylor brought them back home to Liverpool. And, well, what he did was he did nothing with them. He just held on to them, little tape. And as the Beatles so slowly and surely became famous, King Size Taylor allegedly offered these very raw recordings to Brian Epstein for how much? Have a guess.
20 quid.
20 quid, yeah.
Was it that right?
Yeah, it was 20 quid.
Well done, Mark.
But Brian Epstein turned them down. So King Size Taylor held on to these tapes. Simple as that. So the story goes a little bit like this. King Size Taylor then handed them over to a local recording engineer, a fellow called John Seddon. And he had a little small recording business tucked away in Liverpool in Hackins Hay, a place called Studio One. And Seddon was the local businessman and salesman, friend of Bob Wooler. Ringo knew him, Paul and George, and possibly Mike McCartney too. In 1965, some years later, John Seddon, that is, was working for a pirate radio station called Radio Caroline, based in Liverpool, as it goes, in a place called Lord Street. And at that time, he was producing pre-recorded programmes for the pirate ships to use, using the facilities at Cavern Sound, which is a little business next door to the cavern itself. In spite of the now obvious financial potential of the Star Club recordings, nothing came of it. So nothing was made. So more time passed. So it's finally said that King Size Taylor finally teamed up with an old Beatles manager, Alan Williams, always in for a penny and a pound. And he discussed these tapes one time over a lunch. And he said he had these old Star Club tapes of the Beatles, a bit rough and ready, but he still had them. And this led to the pair heading back to where Seddon's business was in Hackins Hay, which mustn't have been a couple of 100 yards away, knowing those two. And this led to them going back there to try and reclaim the tapes at the studio. And as it turns out, the place was derelict, it was empty. And there was a night watchman there who checked on the shops in Hackins Hay. And when he came across Alan Williams and King Size Taylor, he was convinced to help them. And they gained access, probably illegally, and allegedly into the now derelict building. And this was around 1973. And reportedly, that's where they found these little reel-to-reel tapes. Still there, still in a box. So this is the bit that's hard to swallow, but that's how the story's been told. So it was then reported that Alan Williams approached the Beatles via Apple Call, and this time he offered the tapes back to them, this time for how much, Mark?
Well, I'm looking at
you know the answer.
£25 million. £5,000.
£5,000. And they turned them down. So Alan Williams and his mate, King Size Taylor, approached a fellow called Paul Murphy, who created a record business for this very recording called Linger Song. And he said, look, can you make them into something? So they made an album called The Beatles Live at the Star Club. And it came out in 1977. I bought it. And much later, the Beatles went to court over this recording, arguing that they didn't agree to the recording in the first place, and they were drunk when they did, if they did at all. So good or bad, it's still an interesting little record to hear. And it's one of those weird ones because you know it's them, and then sometimes you notice it isn't them singing. It's the fact is the recording included waiters singing and bar staff singing and just joining in. But it's the Beatles, all right, but it's not quite as good as you might think.
An evening with the Beatles and a few other people as well.
And a few other people, few other 100 people. But that's the story of the Beatles Live at the Star Club album, the Hamburg Treasure Trove. So there you go. It's all very much. So now it's time enough to wake up Mark Glenn, sounds awake to me, and to get the answers to the Beatleplaces Trivia Quiz. Ta-da!
Have I got to wake up again?
Oh,
dear, I don't know. You're working me hard this week.
I know, it's been a while. We're a bit rusty, aren't we?
Yeah. Right, well, what I asked you was 3 questions, 3 lots of lyrics and 3 songs. I want to know which songs they were from. So, first of all, I gave you Don't Want to Cry When There's People There. I Get Shy When I Start to Stare. And that's from I'll Cry Instead.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It is. I'll Cry Instead. And the next one was Two of Us. Which bit was it? I read out now. Two of Us Sending Postcards, Writing Letters on My Wall. And that's from Two of Us.
Yeah.
The song is Two
That's
of
a
Us.
nice little song, actually. Isn't it?
Two
Yeah.
of Us. I won't sing it.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that was a very early Beatles song that they put on one of the later albums.
Yeah, like 109, one after
Yeah,
909,
it's got that sort of,
they dug it
from
up
that era
again.
feel.
And finally, I gave you He Bag Production, He Got a Walrus Gumboot. And that's, of course, from Come Together, with lots of other strange lyrics. Here Come Old Flat Top. He Got Oh No Sideboard.
Oh, that's when Chuck Berry sued him, isn't it? Because he said, you're copying my lyrics in there. And he did.
He won Spinal Cracker.
Yeah.
Very good.
Never tried them.
He won Mojo Filter, and that's where the magazine, Mojo magazine, that's
right?
the album reviews in the back.
Ah.
It says the Mojo Filter. And that's where it comes from. So that's
right.
from the album, from
You live
the
and
song,
learn. You live and learn.
Come Together.
Hey, that's very good of you. Thanks very
Just a
much.
little sparkly bit.
It was good, yeah. I always think the lyrics, as wacky as they come, they were wacky all the time, really. I mean, they were pretty straightforward in the beginning, but they enjoyed being mysterious with the lyrics, and you're leaving it to interpretation. And I think in a podcast or two from now, we'll certainly talk about I Am the Walrus one way or the other, and break down all the lyrics in there, because we can explain quite a bit of it now.
Polythene Pam, stuff like that. That's a weird one. Get a dose of air in jackboots and kilt.
She's Killer Dilla.
When she's dressed to the hilt.
Yeah, and that's the way I'd say it as well.
He said he wrote that one in India and he recorded it using a thick Liverpool accent because it was supposed to be about a mythical Liverpool scrubber dressed up in her jackboots and kilt. Lovely. Sounds very nice. Don't want to meet her on a dark night.
There you go.
Anyway.
Thanks, Mark.
That's it.
So anyone who got them all right, well, you give yourself a pat on the back, but only if you're double jointed. According to my sundial, I think we're nearly all about done here, son.
The battery on mine's run out, my sundial. I won't argue with this time, as my bus is due in a minute.
Oh, well.
And
I'm sorry.
I've got to wash my undies tonight. We'll put another special edition for you together next time, you lucky listeners. So we'll take a trip to the pub first to talk it over. And
you will talk about a pub quiz in a pub.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a trip to the chip shop afterwards.
Great idea.
Well. Yeah. It's a quick pint in the Lord Mayor's Undercrackers. That's just down the road, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So that sounds tickety-boo and quite grand. So on top of that, we'll chuck in a few more quizzes like Mark's marvellously done. And we'll have some trivial pit stops along the way just to keep it lively. So we're going to return, and before you know it, we'll have another Beatleplaces podcast before you can say Jack Robinson.
Jack Robinson. Oh, sorry.
Didn't say Jack. I was being metaphorical.
You said you were being what?
Anyway, I think wishing one and all well, and we'll catch you all next time with a Beatleplaces podcast with wonderful Mark and marvellous Col. Toodle.
Thank you, Pip. Yeah. Anyway, who's this Jack Robinson bloke? Tell me about this. Do you know him?
Yeah, big guy. You must have been. He's not so small.
Very tall bloke, blonde bloke with black hair.
Yeah. No, that's his mate.
Yeah.
And he's also got a cousin called Keith, and so on.
Is it over? Yes.
It will be. Thanks for listening to the Beatleplaces podcast with Mark and Col. We hope to see you again real soon, and don't forget to visit the gift shop on the way out.